Alright, so today I'm going to be unboxing my Postfly box for the month of June, and for my own convenience, I have unpacked the example fly and opened up the bag so that I can show you the materials and everything more easily. So let's open it up and tie it. The first thing in here, as usual, is the poster with the little advertisement and then just some of the other stuff on the inside, some of the fly fishing information. And then this month they have a pretty solid extra tool. They usually have I've had fly dryers or loop knot tools, but this is just dip it, and it's probably 10 foot because that's fairly standard. 7 pound test, so that works well for just about anything you're targeting. And yeah, that's probably my favorite extra tool I've gotten in here so far. And then you can see this fly is a micro popper for the warm water box. So you can see here, it's got a nice tube-shaped head with some marabou and saddle hackle forming the body. And I think this will work incredibly well for bass and panfish. So, yeah, here's the materials. You can see they have the saddle hackle stuff. It's called schlappen, which I believe is just the name of it when it's more webbed than usual. Then they have the hooks, the thread, everything you need to tie this fly. And then if we take a look down here, they have this sticker for what looks like a fly fishing tournament type thing. And then the sticker is a little Postfly sticker with a trout chasing a bass, chasing a tarpon, chasing flies in a circle, and I like this one a lot, so yeah, let's get tying. Alright, now let's tie this fly. So, the fly I have here is one that I did, and I gave it some rubber legs, which I'm not going to go over that in this video, because it's not a necessary step to any popper at all. I just prefer it because it tends to get more strikes and gives the popper a bit more movement. But yeah, let's get tying. Secure your size 2 sprout hook in the vise. And this fly uses black thread. And I'm going to be tying a yellow and black one, not an orange and black one for this video, because that's just what I've been doing so far. So, to start this fly, I place the popper head on the hook just for the start. And I will take this off because there is a step in this fly where you put a base of copper wire and thread on to help the little head grip on better when you tie it. So I just have this here sitting like this, and all I have this for is to tell me where to start my thread base. So I just start it right here. And with this fly, you don't want to bring it too far back, because if you bring it all the way back, you'll end up having a huge gap between where your marabou and schlappen is and where your thread ends. You wouldn't want your marabou and all your feathers to end right here and just have a gap of nothing right there. So now I'm going to tie in the marabou, and the video from the Postfly company recommends wrapping the marabou in a hackle style and then pushing it back, which I'm not going to do that. I've never loved doing that with marabou. I've always just tied in my marabou for anything I do it for in a woolly bugger style thing, like with the tail. So I just take a big clump, probably a bit longer than the hook shank. And while we're at it, I can go ahead and just take the head off for now. So I take a nice clump and I pin it down so that it wraps around, or so it sort of sorts itself around the hook, and that just helps cover all angles of the hook without doing the hackle style stuff. And then I take some nice and tight wraps, and from here I just trim it off at a nice little angle so that I can just tie down a little bit of a thread ramp. And then Again, you do want to do all of this not too far down the hook shank. You can see here there's a nice area where there's nothing, not even thread on the hook shank. And this does go back to what I said about the popper head again. Like right around here is where you want your fly to end. So I want to tie in the schlappen just a bit up here. So now I'm going to take one black schlappen feather, and I just choose the feather at random. I don't really pay attention to much of what's on it because it all works out just about the same when I'm tying these. I never have much trouble figuring it out with these feathers. With most poppers and warm water tying, it's a lot of inexact tying. Like, you don't have to have the proportions dead on. You can be off just a little and your fly will still look perfect. The bass aren't really that picky. So now that I have my schlappen feather, I just want to wrap it around, and I am just going to stroke it back like so that the fibers are out and none of them get pinned down. And from here, I'm going to take a nice tight wrap to secure the schlappen to the hook shank. And I'm going to come in with my scissors, and I'm going to trim the feather stem. And with this schlappen, you can actually use the same feather multiple times. Like if you see here, this was what the waist from that feather was, and I can 100% use that for probably 2 more flies with this pattern. So now I want to tie my schlappen going back so that it goes back and over the popper, just like this. Or it goes over the marabou, not the popper. And again, I want to periodically measure how I'm doing with the head, and that looks just about perfect. So from here, I'm going to take the copper wire, and this will help the head have a nice grip on the hook shank. So I want to prepare my wire by pulling out this piece. And when I trim wire, I use this old pair of scissors I have. So it's my first pair of tying scissors. Didn't really know what I was doing. Didn't take good care of them. So they're incredibly dull, and they cut wire very well. Because, I mean, you don't really need the sharpest scissors to cut through wire. One thing I've seen some people do is they'll cut wire with nail clippers, which I personally think that's a really good idea. I just haven't done it. I don't know why. I probably should. And now that I have my wire tied in, I want to take some extra wraps just to make sure it's tied in, because this wire is pretty slippery when you're tying it in with thread. And now I want to take my thread and move it to just behind the hook eye. And from here, I'm going to begin wrapping my wire. And I don't want to wrap this in touching turns. I want to have these little grooves between the pieces of wire, and that's what allows this fly to sort of stick to the hook shank with the head. So I just want to continue here, and now I'm going to helicopter this one off. And you see, if you helicopter it off, it comes off right at the thread, and that's the most exact way to do it. It's also the easiest once it's already tied in, because it doesn't use your scissors. And now I'm going to whip finish my fly and put on the head. I want to get a nice whip finish on that. A lot of turns in there. Now I trim my thread, and from here I'm going to take just a bit of crazy glue. You can use your choice of crazy glue or head cement. You probably couldn't use UV resin, because you're not going to be able to get the UV light under the popper's head. But I just use clear, dry crazy glue because, I mean, it is a lot like head cement, and it's incredibly strong, so it works for almost all tying applications I need it for. And I want a really big drop on here, so just, I can spread that around with that. And there you go. Now the popper head is not going anywhere. Alright, so now I'm going to take the head, and you can twist it to make this a bit easier. And I'm just going to force it on right on here. And I want to get it over that last wrap of wire. And there you go. So this fly is now complete and ready to be fished. Once the crazy glue dries, it's completely ready and will not fall apart. And if you want to put legs on this, just watch the video that I've put out on putting legs on a popper. I'm going to use this fly for that video. I haven't filmed it yet, but I'm going to upload it before this one. So yeah, thank you for watching. Feel free to comment any of your thoughts on this video, and like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you.